Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Dr. Ray Nichols. Dr. Ray is doing some amazing work, so I'm excited to have him on the podcast to share his story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drcaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Dr. Ray Nichols. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Dr. Ray Nichols, and Dr. Ray is co-owner and chiropractor at Align Life in Greer, South Carolina. Dr. Ray is doing an incredible job at spreading the word of chiropractic. His Instagram constantly inspires me personally, so I'm excited to have him on to share his personal wellness story and just everything that he's working on. So, Dr. Ray, thank you so much for taking time to come on.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Awesome. So, just kind of to start us off, just first off, where you're from, and then just walk us all through your own personal wellness journey. Like what really kind of was your tipping point in just transforming your health and how you got into chiropractic, and just kind of walk us through it.
Perfect. Yep. So I'm originally from Laura, Mississippi. If anyone know anything about South Mississippi, then it's like close to Biloxi area, close to the Gulfport. A lot of people know that area. So it's close to the Gulf, Mexico. So that's where I born and raised. Born and raised by my grandparents, actually. And if anyone know anything about Mississippi, we are one of the most obese states in the entire country. So typically it's either us or Louisiana or West Virginia that's in the fighting for that.
And that's where I'm from. So we've got this covered. It's funny.
And so that's kind of eye opening. I bring it up for reasons because I grew up, like I said, my grandparents raised me, and they did obviously did the best job that they knew how with the knowledge that they had. And I've recognized that as an adult and as a doctor now. It's like, they were just doing probably what was taught to them, and they were just trying to help me navigate myself through life, right? The best way they knew how. So with that being said, I grew up out of a medicine cabinet, like probably a lot of people out there in the world. So if no one really know what that means, it's pretty much if anytime I had like a cough, sneeze, a sniffle, fever, I was given some type of medication for it. And that was just a paradigm that we lived in, right? So things actually started to shift for me when I was 8 years old. So I used to have a lot of sinus infections, and like really bad ones, some about the headaches, just like everything. And it happened all the time, actually. So I would, obviously take the medication because I didn't know any better. My grandparents would just kind of help me out, right? So 8 years old, I remember I had a sinus infection. I was literally lying in bed. I was crying like a little kid. Dr. Ray is a little kid. And they came to my rescue like they do all the time with I think it was Claritin, to give me some type of medication to help me out. But this time was different. I don't know if it was more so of an intuition or I'm just a genius kid. I don't know what it is, but
let's go genius kid.
Let's go genius. But I told my grandmother, she probably looked at me like she did look like I was crazy, but I was like, my body's going to get better on its own. So at 8 years old, I had that intuition that obviously the body heals itself. And at a really young age, I was able to like really take that in. Obviously, I didn't know anything past that, but that simple concept of anytime I got sick, I would get better. And so like I literally just took that concept with me throughout my adolescence, and then eventually I went to Nichols State University. I actually played college football there, and then it wasn't until my last semester at Nichols State where I thought about chiropractic, because before this on my journey before chiropractic, I thought chiropractic was more so of if you're in a car accident, then that's when you go to the chiropractor. That's it.
Were you being treated by a chiropractor while you were playing football? Was that your first like
I wish
introduction to
I really wish I was.
it?
Well, I wasn't. I didn't get adjusted until I started chiropractic school. First adjustment. Yep.
That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
what led you to chiropractic then? Was it just kind of searching for anything that was in alignment with that inside out health mentality?
Yeah, so I didn't know that though until my last semester at Nichols State. I had a shadow just different because I'm an athletic trainer too. So that's what I went to school for. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be an athletic trainer for the rest of my life. I want to be around sports. I want to help people, just help athletes. And that was the mindset. But when I was actually shadowing a chiropractor my last semester, like 2-3 months before I graduated, it was just something like totally different, like I've never experienced before. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is not what I thought chiropractic was. So it just blew my mind. I think the biggest thing there, I was open, right? So I was open, and and so I actually had a cousin. He's in chiropractic school. He started a year before me, and so I gave him a call, and we talked. We talked for 2 hours. I remember talking for 2 hours about his journey about chiropractic, and I'm like, man, like this is exactly what I want to do, like for the rest of my life. I like knew it right then and there, because the alignment of the philosophy of chiropractic, obviously the body heals itself. So just working with the body's natural way of healing and functioning, it just made so much sense. And it was just so like, it clicked for me. So like just right off the bat. And that's how I got into chiropractic school, actually.
That's amazing. So like through college while you were trying to figure it out and you were focusing more on the personal training aspect of it, how committed like were you to your health? Was it still like early in the journey for you, or were you just mainly focused on the fitness aspect, or did you kind of always have that mentality of just more holistic and looking at health in that way? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely know what you mean. So before chiropractic school, I was the typical allopathic mindset lifestyle before chiropractic school. During and after chiropractic school, it was a complete different mindset. I'm sure, obviously,
Yeah.
but yes, exactly, right. So literally before that, like I didn't take great care of myself. And as I look back, I'm like, man, like because I remember it as a college athlete. I'm like, man, I can eat anything and not gain weight, and like because I thought that's what health was. I thought it was like, if you look good, like you feel good, then you're healthy, right? Like let's live life. I can eat anything I want, so that's like a no brainer to me at that point. But then until I got to chiropractic school, that completely changed my perception, perspective, and because it just kind of put me where I am today. So, but yeah, I do reflect back on those days. Sometimes, like, man, I was eating everything. It was crazy.
Oh, but man, but how thankful are you now that like you get to understand this mentality of health and like teach your family how to live? I think about that for myself all the time because
Yeah.
I was very, very, like you mentioned, like medicine cabinet, like, if something hurt, it was a Tylenol, if something, cough, it was the cough syrup, but
Hmm.
like getting to learn this way to really look at your health, to assess it differently, it just trickles down. It just like it's going to affect the like generations to come in your family. It's just super powerful.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I probably don't do it as often as I should. But like when it comes up, like right now, like it comes up, it's like I reflect on that because, like I said, my grandparents was doing the best that they could with the information that they had,
Right.
right? So now, me at the point where I am with the information that I have, I'm going to do it best that I can. So now my kids are able to, and I actually have 3 kids. I have an 11-year-old daughter, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and a 3-month-old son. So now with them, they're like, and if we had to think about like a starting point, right? So you can imagine like my starting point was a little bit lower, and then if we for my kids now, their starting point is going to be way up here at the top because like they've never experienced anything before that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So like that's life changing. Seriously, it's really life changing. The fact that they get to start at this point and they can build on that.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And where did you go to chiropractic school at?
I went to Life University in Marietta, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how did you find like just for I know that there's quite a bit of also chiropractic students that listen in. Your experience with finding the right group to really network with and learn from, because that's gonna make your chiropractic experience and possibly how you practice, right? Because there's so many. I mean, you and I both know like it could go a few different routes, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of chiropractors that do not take care of themselves. So it's not all chiropractors are super healthy and into that. So like how hard or easy was it for you to kind of find that group that really resonated with you to learn from and really, mentor with?
Like going through chiropractic school, you mean? Like
Yeah.
actual other peers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so it wasn't really hard for me. I'm a big people's person. Like people probably think I'm crazy. Like I talk to everybody. I talk to everybody. I just love people, right? So with that being said, definitely met a lot of good people in chiropractic school. I would say the thing that really kept me grounded in chiropractic school was I actually joined a chiropractic fraternity. So it's Delta Sigma Chi fraternity. And I actually joined that my third quarter into chiropractic school. And the reason why I say it kept me grounded is because in the fraternity we learn a lot about just the philosophy, and we dive deeper into it, which I think the philosophy, we obviously there's people out there that's trying to keep that, keep that alive and keep that at the forefront, but I would definitely say it gets drowned out by a lot of other
For
things,
sure.
right? So but
By boards material.
exactly, right.
Right.
So but focus on that philosophy piece of it, because for me, for the chiropractic students that are listening, is more so like I'm not, it may sound weird, but I don't think I'm committed to chiropractic. I think I'm more committed to the principles of chiropractic, the philosophy, because that's how I live my life, and it just makes total sense.
Yeah. I
Right,
mean, it
so
flows into like literally everything
every
that you do, how you eat, how active you are, how you, again, raise your family. Like it trickles down into everything.
yes.
And I think that goes, and I was going to ask about just your mentality as well, just because we are in like, a healer space, right? So just the importance of maintaining our own health, healing ourselves
Mm,
before we can help others. I think everybody, including myself, and nobody's perfect, right? Like it's just so important to look at it that way, because we're helping a lot of people, but at the same time,
yes.
like we have to help ourselves first before we can really give them our full potential, and vice versa. So kind of your thoughts on that and how you view that.
Yeah, I'm big on that actually. And the reason I say is because one of my core values is integrity, and I think that what it comes down to is, do you have integrity, right? So the things that you say, are you doing those things? Have you done those things, right? Because I find it hard to say, like, if I'm a chiropractor, if I'm recommending my patients, hey, I need you to get to this point where we need to be at. I need you to come in this amount of times a week for this amount of time so we can get to this place. And if I'm on the back end of that and I'm not getting adjusted myself, then for me it doesn't feel right. Like it literally doesn't. And I would never do that because I know the power of chiropractic, and I wouldn't recommend anything to my patients that I haven't done or haven't experienced or um,
Right.
anything in that, right? Because you're out of integrity. Um, I'm really big on that because we need to be, if we're gonna preach it, right, we need to be able to do it as well. And then I always tell my patients that, hey, like inside these walls, inside our office, like I'm the coach, but outside of these walls, out there in the world, I'm a player just like you. right? Because I am like we are, like I'm still
Yeah,
human,
right.
so I do the work too.
Yep. And I mean, yeah, you can't tell them to do the exercises or drink the water or get adjusted if you're not doing that yourself. And they're gonna know that, you know, it's like, you know, the example of the trainer that doesn't work out, you know? So it's oh
Yes,
man. But
yes,
it
yes.
builds that trust and they feel when you're in the same alignment. Like
Love that.
people know that.
I love that. And I love that you brought that up. You said the feel piece of it. And I do believe they definitely feel it. And sometimes they maybe can't articulate it, but they feel it because if you're living it, you're going to be convicted in it. And when you speak, you're going to feel it.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. And kind of to go off on a tangent, just a lot of people listening, they might be newer to chiropractic. I've had a bunch of chiropractors on, but just in case they're listening and they are thinking chiropractic is just back pain or just car accidents. Or maybe, they just need a reminder on what we're all about. Maybe like some of the top myths that you hear personally or
Mm.
questions that you constantly get, or just like, what we're all about.
Yeah, yeah. So just because there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot of oh my aunt went and this happened, and we talk about like I hear like obviously like the strokes, things like that, like the big
Hmm.
misconceptions about it, and I was in that boat, so I can definitely I can empathize with that, right? I was in that boat. I thought chiropractic was only for people that's been in car accidents, and that was it. But as I've learned through chiropractic school, and as it's been more powerful just to even experience in chiropractic and like in the office, like that's a powerful piece of it. So just there are some examples. Essentially, is I've had patients who they maybe came in for the back pain or the neck pain because that's at their level, that's what they thought it was. But I'm big on education in the office, and they know that chiropractic is way more than that when they're done, when they're in here. So with that being said, they actually share different things with me. Like for instance, someone their eyesight like it was blurry and things like that, and I think she was wearing glasses actually. So she shared with me that her vision had improved, and she actually doesn't have to wear her glasses. I think she was wearing them, I want to say maybe just to read or something like that, but she doesn't have to wear them like that. That's powerful. And when people's like oh my god, they always do this, like they always put me to the side. I don't know if they're embarrassed or not, but I was like, doc, like I've been going to the bathroom like every day now. Like awesome job. Like I'm like, that's good. That's normal.
That's amazing. I think it's beautiful when patients do have those conversations, or like, I think it's really cool when somebody like brings their kid in because their kid is just having a lot of like anxiety or not sleeping well, and the fact that they understand the correlation, it's just
Mm.
really cool when it clicks.
Yes, 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 yes. Definitely. You're right. You're so on that one. But yeah, so just getting all of these amazing results, and like you just can't put a price on this stuff actually. Like it's no way possible. I don't think people could afford it if we put a price on it. Because I honestly feel like we're giving chiropractic away. We have to. Because you can't put a price on your vision improving, your hearing improving, digestive system, immune system, like all these different things. So like allowing people to experience life the way life was meant to be experienced is like it's awesome. And we do that through our nervous system, right? Our brain and our spinal cord, and hopefully everyone that's listening, we can agree that the brain and spinal cord is the most important system in the body, right? It's our communication system. Just like we're communicating now, right? If there's any interference in our communication, then there's going to be a glitch
Yep.
in the podcast, right? You're going to have to either edit it out, I guess, but it's going to be a glitch, right? So the same thing works with the nervous system. And if we have any interference in the nervous system, and the interference can come through the spine being misaligned, because the spine protects and houses the nervous system. So in order to have a healthy nervous system, we have to have a healthy spine. So as chiropractors, that's why we adjust the spine. If the nervous system was strictly in your leg, we'll be focused on your leg because that's where the nervous system is. Um, So I always want to phrase it that way because, and I feel like people can kind of grasp that. And I think this is just a thing that we can agree on is that the nervous system is important, in that the body heals itself, right? And the body will heal itself as long as it doesn't have that interference in between. And as a chiropractor, we remove the interference, which allows now the nervous system to function like it should, right? And I grew up fixing cars with my dad a lot. I also like to do a lot of like car references. But if you can imagine like a car that's kind of governed down where it's kind of like it can't reach its potential speed, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of cars are like that come out from the factory. But if you remove the governor from it, then now we can actually express more. We can get the performance out of that car where it was meant to do. And it's the same with our vehicle.
And I think it's important to, and I love that analogy. And then like thinking about like the car still works if you don't remove it, right? It's not like the car is going to break down
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
day, but
Hmm.
it's not reaching its full potential over
Hmm.
time if it's left there. Because I think somebody will maybe if they see, if they see their x-ray or thermal scan and they're like, oh, it's not, it's just a little bit. I was like, yeah, it's just a little bit, but like think of that over time, what's happening there, just
Yes.
the potential loss.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely.
And obviously, I think we both can agree on that we definitely need chiropractic right now more than ever. I people are so. I'm sure you've seen this a lot in your office as well, Dr. Ray. But just like the amount of stress and the amount of anxiety and the amount of like I mentioned sleeping issues again. Like there's a lot going on right now that people are trying to I mean, hardcore emotionally deal with. Like people
Yes.
need chiropractic now more than ever before.
Definitely. 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 No, you're spot on that. And actually, one of my patients shared with me was the fact that she's she's actually a teacher, and I did a post on that actually because teachers are actually going through. Obviously, a lot of people are going through
Yeah.
a lot of different tough times right now. But she just shared to me that coming to the office is like the only normancy, right, of her
Mm.
life. So she really looks forward to come in the office and just be welcomed with smiles and love and obviously the adjustment. But I think the adjustment starts when you walk through the door, which is it's just awesome to hear that because that's exactly what we want to create for people because we know it's stressful. Like every day you wake up, especially if you're watching the news, if you're on social media, like you can't hide from it.
Right.
So you can't hide from it. It's the talk, right? So you never know, like, what are the new rules? Like, what can I do? How many masks do I have to wear? Or do I have to wear a mask in here? Or it's so much anxiety, it's so much stress. Is to me, it's just not sustainable. Like hands down, there's no way that the body can endure. The body is amazing, but there's no way that can endure all of this stress for a long period of time. And obviously, we both know that when the body gets in that stressful situation, that's only meant to be temporary. It's not to be a long term solution,
Yep,
right?
absolutely. And I think about like the emotional toll on kids. I mean, you're a dad, right? Like
Yeah.
think about this is, we seem to like, think about the adults a lot more because it's like, oh, they're just kids, they can, shake it off, but we're going to be dealing with some very serious, I mean, emotional um, you know, kids aren't allowed to touch each other or socialize, you know what I mean? So it's going to have some major effects in years to come that I don't know if we're if we're quite ready for.
No, no, definitely. And I can share actually one of my patients that shared with me that I think his son potentially. I think he was at home, and then here in South Carolina, there. Obviously, like I said, you never know if your kid's gonna be in school or you're gonna be at home. Like it's just so much up in the air. And I think it was kind of that case, and he actually went back to school, and based off of kind of that in school environment, he came home and. Granted, he told me like before this, like they were always hugging things like that, but he came home and he felt his son was just hesitant of like to touch him or like to hug
Mm,
him. I'm like, man, like that really hit home. I'm like, that is wild because that's not the. I'm sure this isn't the only case that this happened for, right? If we're training people, training kids to not touch other people, are they're because they're trying to protect someone else. You know what I mean? Is yeah, that's tough.
Man,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
just
tough.
being constantly like distanced and
Exactly.
guarded, like it's oh man, especially with kids who are naturally total opposite of that. You know, they
Exactly.
don't have guards yet. They're just like living their life and just loving so much. It just yeah, it breaks my heart for sure.
Definitely. Me too. Me too.
And this is off topic of what we're talking about, but I think it's really cool. I could probably say you're the same, but just how important is verbiage around health? You like whether you're talking, I mean, really talking to anybody, right? Like, for example, if somebody's sick, like saying that they're healing, you know what I mean? Like how powerful verbiage is around health and helping guide people and just being in the position that we're in. Just do you understand
No,
what I
no,
mean?
I
All right,
totally
cool.
got you. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Because I think I'm huge on communication. I think communication is amazing, and also combined with that connection, right?
Mhm.
With that being said, so every Monday at 7 p.m., I hold a workshop in our office for all of our new patients, and we actually make it mandatory for our new patients. If they want to be a patient, they have to attend. They have to, because I know they'll get the most out of their care, and it'll change their life, just hands down. So with that being said, this is exactly what I talk about in our on that that workshop on Mondays. Like it's called Better Results Faster Workshop, but it could be easily called just a paradigm shift or a perspective shift, right? Because I let them know, hey, I need you guys to be open, right? Because I know everyone is in different different levels of this journey, and I just need you guys to be open. Just hear me, right? So when I get to my slide talking about like the body healing itself, talking about innate intelligence, I'm talking about these different things. I'm talking about a fever. I'm talking about having a just say food poisoning. And I ask them a question always. I'm like, if you had food poisoning or if you had a fever, you're going to view yourself as being sick. That's what we train to be, right? So I'm like, all right. I'm like, let's take that to the side. Let's sit that down and let's change the verbiage of that and be like, okay, my body is expressing health. Because if it wasn't able to detect a virus that's there, it wouldn't be able to heat the body up to create the fever, which will pretty much starve off and kill the virus. And obviously more complex than that, but it wouldn't be able to detect it, right? That's kind of my whole piece of it. So your body is actually expressing health. So we can look at it from that lens. And so I just try to give them another lens to look through because there is another lens, but they just don't. They're not aware of it.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And that was perfectly said. And I think just like every time you either help somebody to change that verbiage or yourself, you're using that verbiage, it's constantly building a deeper trust with your body, right?
Yes.
Like it's like, yeah, I'm in pain, but that's for a reason. Like maybe I should rest this, or
Mm,
like just getting to the root cause, not just like band-aid care, but it's just this, it's all about just building a trust with your body that most people do not have. And obviously there's extreme examples where like interventions are needed for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
But for a lot of things, like, 8-year-old you knew that like something was off that the body needed to take care of. But yeah, it's just all about body trust for sure.
I love that I love that because that's exactly like that's what resonated with me, and that's where I am in my space right now. Is the kick I've been on is like it's health empowerment. Like I want to empower you. Like when you come in here as a patient, like yes, you have a problem with you, and that's and I let them know. Like I'm very blunt. I let them know I haven't made a patient cry or anything like that.
That's
I'm
right. That's
not
right.
me. I'm just blunt.
The day is young.
But I let them know, like, this is your problem. Just say Tom, right? Tom, this is your problem that you come in with. I can't take on your problem. I know you want me to, right? I know that's the paradigm that they're in, but I just can't take on your problem. If I take on every patient's problem, then I'm going to have a problem myself. I'm not going to be able to do this for a long time.
Right.
I'll let them know, like, hey, this is your problem, but I'm going to be a guide on your journey to help you get to where you need to go. So you have to keep your problem. It's your responsibility. But in that, I hope that empowers them, right? Because I can't take on their problem. Their body heals itself. I'm not the healer. They're actually the healer. I'm just a facilitator. And I empower. I just constantly try to empower them because I, like you said, people just don't trust their bodies. Like
They
it's like,
don't. And I see like I think you guys do too. I see a lot of pregnant women in our office and just I think that's like the ultimate example. Like the body is so incredible and
yes,
it can do that. It can handle that process all by itself without any help, you know? Like but all of a sudden now it's like it's a procedure. Like it's a pregnancy is basically treated as like a sickness. Like it,
yes,
you know what I mean?
hmm
It's the lack of trust in your body during pregnancy for so many people is it really saddens me. Like it's yeah, it's I think that's like the ultimate trust, but just so many conditions I could use as an example, but van pregnancy comes to mind for sure when I think trusting the body.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I said, we have a 3 month old. We actually did a home birth, just like literally at the house. It
Love
was
that.
an amazing experience. We had a doula, we had a midwife. It was just an amazing experience just to kind of come home. I knew she was in labor, and just be in our own space. And like you said, the body is amazing. And we had baby Sage, so it was
Uh,
awesome.
love the name, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Thank you.
And Dr. Ray, who influences or inspires you the most? Like who are people that really you look up to, makes you want to be better as a doctor or a human? Who are your biggest influences right now?
Um, I think what's coming to mind, I would have to go with definitely. I would say Dr. Brett Jones.
Yeah,
You heard Dr.
I
Brett
love Dr.
Jones?
Brett. He
Yeah.
was actually one of my first guests on this podcast 3 years
What?
ago. Yeah. He was like episode like 4. Like this episode's gonna be like 262. I don't
Oh
know, 260.
wow.
Yeah, he was so cool too. I was like, listen, like I'm starting this podcast. I don't know where it's going, but like and he was like newer into getting
Yep.
into his training and but he was awesome. But it was like a really great episode. He was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Dr. Brett Jones as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I would say definitely he's a huge influence. I let him know from time to time, but yeah, he's definitely a huge influence, and I think it's important to have someone that you can look up to, right? Or just someone that's in a place where you want to be, because obviously they're there for a reason. So definitely we can learn as much as possible for them and integrate
Absolutely.
that into who we are. I'm trying to think of anybody else that kind of comes to mind without me really searching too hard. Um, I mean, always my grandmother. She's
Mm,
always my role model. I've seen her struggle time after time growing up, and I think I've integrated that. And I say it to say is in the hard times or at the bottom of the bottom, like I know that things are going to shape, right? Our life is going to mold in the way that it should, and things are going to be okay, right? And there's always a way. There's always a way that we can get out of these ruts and things like that. So being able to see her do that time after time, and still provide for her family, like is the ultimate motivation for me and my family, and how I just operate in my everyday life. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Dr. Ray. And so what's in the future for you? What are future plans that you just want to get out there and share with people? Just things going on or just keep sharing content? Like what's for the
Yeah.
in the future for you?
That's a big old question for me because
I'm ready for it.
I have a lot. Like I don't know if you know, but I'm a visionary, right? So like I accept it. Like I'm big idea. Like let's save the world, right? Let's like,
Love it.
and so my wife, she's more like an integrator. So she kind of brings me down, and she's like, okay, let's save the world, but like how we're going to do that? Like let's reverse engineer it. So like we're a perfect duo there. So it's
Nice.
awesome to have her, and she's a chiropractor too, by the way. So we
Amazing.
met in chiropractic school.
Oh, that's
Um, yeah.
cool.
But so I would say just some things I have in mind. Definitely I'm working on a book right now. Um,
Very cool.
about perspectives, right? We talk about perspectives. I think that's how I've gotten to where I am by gaining just as many perspectives as possible and integrating that into who I am. So that's what telling me pretty much what the book's going to be about.
Cool. Any
Um,
idea for release?
I'm still waiting on it because I'm in talks. I want to do
I
something
got you.
special. So I'm still waiting on it, but definitely, I would say I'm halfway there. That can be a pretty big book, bigger than I thought
Awesome.
it was going to be actually when I started
Love it.
it.
Excited to promote it.
And then, yes, obviously start like continue to share content, but also in the future, I want to help young docs definitely, just be more successful and just kind of sharing my journey with them. Because obviously I've been in this place. I was consider myself still a young doc. I've only been practicing 2 years, but I've learned so much, and I just want to be able to share that with them. And then I'm working on a coaching program soon, but we'll see where it's going to be around. But I'm definitely working on that. I'm super excited about that actually because I feel like a lot of people need it, and so I'm really excited to give that to the world and whoever wants it.
Man,
But
that's
yeah.
amazing. That's super exciting. No, for sure. I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for that and promoting you as much as possible. So that's super exciting. And Dr. Ray, what is the best way for people to follow you on social media? That way they can keep up with
Yep.
everything that you're doing. He's super active on there, guys. So go give him a follow. You'll love his content.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I love Instagram. It's the most I would say. So just Doctor Dr. and then period and then Raymond Nichols. And same thing for Facebook. So Dr. Raymond Nichols or just Raymond Nichols. You can connect with me there. And that's where I am on social media. Love to connect.
Awesome. And then Dr. Ray, just closing question that I ask every guest, but if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's something that's been your own personal wellness takeaway on your journey, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
My one piece of advice along that piece, I would have to say, have to go to the like. It's just knowing that your body is a vehicle, right? Opposed to the vehicle that we drive on the road. Those vehicles can be, obviously traded in. We can get a new one, but our bodies, we can't trade in our bodies. So, with that being said, we have to take care of it, right? Help us navigate through this one life that we get. We get this one body and this one life for what we know. Maybe there's another one, but we'll see on the other end. But in this dimension, it's one life, is one body. So we have to take care of it. And I think it's just knowing that allows you to make better decisions. I think just that one piece allows you it's going to significantly help you make better decisions, whether health wise, wellness, anything, because you have one body, you have to take care of it. It's your temple.
Absolutely. I love that. No, it's perfect, Dr. Ray. No, just keep doing what you're doing because it's definitely inspiring people and going to help a whole lot of people for sure. So just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I loved having you and excited to watch as you dive into all of your other future plans and just keep doing it because you're doing incredible.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Dr. Ray. He's doing so much positive work, so be sure to give him a follow on social media to keep up with everything that he's been working on. You can find his social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drcaseyjohnson.com. If you guys loved today's episode with Dr. Ray, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning into today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.